Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is December the 8th, 2023. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Another day off, which has been nice. I've enjoyed it. I will say, I actually wound up waking up and doing laundry. I figured I'd just go ahead and get ahead of it because I decided like earlier in this week when I was gonna take this whole little vacation thing that I would just go ahead and work on the Saturday, even though I know I'm trying to relax or whatever. Because I'm like, hey, I need the money. So here we are queuing up for that for tomorrow. So I figured, hey, let's just make it easy, make my Saturday a little easier. Just do my laundry today, and then I won't have to worry about it tomorrow. So thinking smart. And also I got to get donuts from Jupiter Donuts, so that was yummy. That was good. I got the raspberry swirl. I think it's the raspberry storm. They call it that. Which is like a raspberry filled donut with cream cheese on top, and then the raspberry filling that's like kind of swirled on top too. So that was yummy. That was a highlight. I got a sticky bun that was really really good, and a glazed donut that was really good. It was one of those like they all hit like critical hits. They're all boom boom boom, nice. And then I also chorged down. I don't know how you describe how you eat quickly a baby bottle pop, but I did that pretty quick, and that was nice. So yummy, yummy, yummy. It was a nice little snack day, and finished the Kit Kats too. Man, I'm gonna weigh myself, and I'll be so upset. I also got a good nap in though, so that was nice. So we've been chilling. I will say it's the annoying thing. I don't know if you can even hear it in like my voice, but like I hate being sick. I just hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Hate it. I can still feel it in, like my throat and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm trying to debate whether or not I'm like, are you good? Are you good? Can you go out? Like I don't know. Probably not. But we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But speaking of the future, let's go ahead and get into some news. I want to do my startup, and then we will get into it. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Also, happy Friday. Happy Friday to you. I usually say that on Fridays. All right. From The Guardian. More than 1,000 workers sign up to unionize at top U.S. Volkswagen plant. More than 1,000 workers at Volkswagen's Chattanooga plant in Tennessee, the automaker's flagship U.S. manufacturing site, have signaled they want to unionize, a significant early win in the United Auto Workers' latest attempt to expand its membership. The UAW announced on Thursday that over 30% of the plant's workforce had signed on in the first week. Once a majority signs union authorization cards, the UAW can file for a union election with the National Labor Relations Board. The move comes as the UAW aims to unionize nearly 150,000 workers at 13 auto plants in the wake of the record contract gains at Ford, Stellantis, and General Motors. So this is kind of like the next chapter for the UAW. I know Sean Fain said, like, we're not resting on our laurels. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it moving. And I know that even some people were saying, like, oh, this attempt is going to be very ambitious. We don't know if it's going to actually work out because we've tried at least two times before, and it didn't work out. So I wanted to kind of cover those real quick since they're in the article. In 2019, the UAW lost its second union election at the plant in a vote of 776 votes in favor of unionizing to, 833 who voted against it. Ahead of the vote, elected Republican officials strongly opposed the unionization effort. Tennessee's Republican Governor Bill Lee visited to discourage workers from supporting the union. In 2014, the union also lost an election, with 53% of its workers voting against unionizing. Volkswagen had claimed to remain neutral during board elections, but outside, anti-union groups and political leaders engaged in ad spending and campaigns to dissuade workers from voting in the union, and low-level supervisors reportedly participated in those efforts. So the chips are kind of stacked against the UAW here in this pursuit. I really hope that it does go well. Fingers crossed, knocking on wood, all that good shit. I definitely want to keep you posted on that. That's kind of why I wanted to just kind of get a toehold in here. But yeah, I mean, I do think this is a thing that people do want, but I understand the fear of wanting to go through the process of unionization. You don't know what you're really gonna lose if it's gonna be worth like what you gain, and then not to mention the whole idea of like, well, then I have to pay union dues and all this kind of stuff. It can feel very daunting, especially for someone who's never been in a union before. That's why it's very important to have like the proper things in place so that these processes can be smooth and people can get real like education on what's going on. What is a union? How's this going to affect you? How's this going to affect the people around you? Because it really is like a ripple effect. But yeah, I mean, union busters is just a big thing. It's something I've learned a lot about this year, just historically, and then also just in modern times. Just using Amazon as an example, it's just they're so good at it. They contract like the best kind of fucking groups and think tanks that just all they do is come up with ways to just drive wedges into any kind of like unions. So I wish the UAW the best here. I really hope that I'm going to be giving you guys good news in the future about the situation in Chattanooga. But yeah, that's something to cover. Let's go on to some more news from Reuters. Hunter Biden hit with federal charges for evading tax. The Department of Justice on Thursday filed new criminal charges against U.S. President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, accusing him of failing to pay $1.4 million in taxes while spending millions of dollars on a lavish lifestyle. Hunter Biden, 53, was hit with 3 felony and 6 misdemeanor tax offenses, according to an indictment filed in the U.S. District Court, Central District of California. He faces up to 17 years in prison if convicted, the Justice Department said in its investigation into Biden. Its investigation into Biden is ongoing. Let's see here. The defendant engaged in a 4-year scheme to not pay at least $1.4 million in self-assessed federal taxes he owed for tax years between 2016 through 2019, the indictment read. It added that he had instead spent huge sums on drugs, escorts, girlfriends, luxury hotels, and rental properties, exotic cars, clothing, and other items of personal nature, including over $70,000 on drug rehabilitation. Hunter Biden's legal team is arguing like, hey, we already paid up on those taxes. We were good on this stuff. We had set up with you guys for a whole deal, and next thing you know, the judge is tossing that out, and now here we are. So this is like, an unfair, this is a miscarriage of justice, more or less. We'll see how that defense is going to play out. I know we've talked about this before. Longtime listeners know. But essentially, Hunter Biden had came up with this sweetheart deal that prosecution had come up with. Even David Weiss, who was in part of the investigation, is now back on it. He requested and was given access to this case and is now, the lead on it. But essentially, they were like, oh, okay, we've done all this research. We really can't say, like, we know he's worked for this Ukrainian company. We think maybe he's done some untoward shit. And he's getting way too much money for what he's doing, yada, yada, yada. But they really couldn't prove it. No one has been able to prove that as of yet. I guess more or less is what this trial is maybe going to try to do. But essentially now he's got his gun possession charge. He's got his taxes. It's all rolled up into one big case. So, I mean, 17 years is a lot of time. I don't think, even if he is found guilty, maybe he winds up pleading or something like that. I don't know. But I don't think he's going to get that much time. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, how do I feel about this? I don't feel bad. I mean, the shit kind of come home to roost. In some kind of way, I think he could have still found a plea deal and then wound up still in court. But I think like either he was or he and his team were just like, you know what? If they're not going to come back to the table and work with us after the judge threw it out, then we're just not going to we're just going to go to court. It's worth it. So it's like, okay, man, well, now you got to go to court. That's how this is going to work, right? A date hasn't been released yet in terms of when it's going to start, but, when it does, it does. U.S. District Judge Mary Ellen Noriega rejected the proposed plea deal in July, raising concerns over its legality and scope of immunity it offered. I mean, it was a crazy ass deal where essentially he's like, yeah, I paid up on all my taxes. I'm good. I know I fucked up with the whole gun thing. I wasn't supposed to have a gun doing all this fucking drugs and all this fucking shit I'm doing. But, my bad. I'm saying my bad. And let's just do this plea deal. And she's like, you can't do this. Like, you can't wrap all of this in one. Like, this just shouldn't happen. And then, like, the prosecution kind of was like, oh, yeah, no, okay, no, we don't want to do this anyway. And it just kind of fell fucking apart. Now we are where we are with this shit. So we'll see. We'll see if Hunter Biden's going to wind up actually, landing in the clink. I don't know. I like I said, I really would not be mad either way. Maybe some people are thinking like, well, let's say you're a liberal, you're probably rooting for him. I'm like, no, man. I think this shit's crazy. But let me go ahead and move on. Let me hit the next beat. I've talked about this enough. This is actually interesting, good news. From CBS News. FDA approves gene editing treatment for sickle cell disease. Get into some science. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration on Friday approved a landmark gene editing treatment for sickle cell disease, a painful condition that affects approximately 100,000 people in the United States, predominantly people of color. The innovative therapy promises to repair the gene responsible for the disease. The breakthrough offers a beacon of hope for Johnny Lubin, a 15-year-old from Connecticut who has lived with the debilitating effects of the disease. He inherited the sickle cell gene from both of his parents and has experienced severe pain and complications since infancy. Red blood cells, which are normally donut-shaped, bend into inflexible sickle cell shapes, causing them to pile up inside blood vessels and prevent the normal delivery of oxygen in the body. Complications include bone deterioration, strokes, and organ failure. Doctors told Levin he would not live past 40. I was starting to get a little bit scared. Like, I actually didn't want to live past 40, he said. That's obviously very fucking sad to hear a kid say that. You hear this and you just know, well, damn, I already have like a death sentence more or less at 40. That sucks. And then not to mention, not just that, to know that you're going to be living a life full of pain, in and out of hospitals. He said in one of the hospitals he was in, at one point he realized that he had been in every room on like this floor, I think. So that's a cruel realization to realize as a kid. But with this surgery, this new treatment, there you go, that's the word I'm looking for. It offers him a chance to, really completely change his life. The way it kind of works, just kind of a quick rundown from this article. First, stem cells were removed from Levin's bone marrow, and he was given chemotherapy to wipe out the abnormal blood cells, or to wipe out the abnormal cells. Then, in a laboratory, the editing technology called CRISPR was used to increase the amount of a protective form of hemoglobin, a protein that picks up oxygen from lungs and delivers it throughout the body. That protective form usually diminishes after birth. The cells were then infused back into Levin's bloodstream. So I mean, essentially, they've rewritten his DNA in a sense. Though that being said, it's still something that can be transferred throughout, like if he has children or things like that in the future, they still could be at risk for having sickle cell. But that being said, I mean, this is just like a crazy breakthrough. It's amazing. The big caveat I've heard, and it's not just from this article. I've also heard about this a little bit from the BBC because they were talking about it in the advance of the FDA approving it. Is that it's very very expensive. I think it takes like about millions of dollars per patient. Yeah, patients will have to be followed long term before the experts call this a cure. Gene editing is expected to cost several $1,000,000 per patient, and may not be appropriate for everyone who has the sickle cell disease. It would also not prevent the gene from being passed down to future generations. And really, the money thing is so crucial here because you might have sickle cell, you might have like really great insurance, but they're not going to approve all of the cost it's going to take for a treatment like this. So that means you'd have to be really well off, have a lot of fucking money to make sure your child or yourself could get this kind of treatment. I don't know. It might also be age dependent. I'm not sure there. But I mean, yeah, this is still a breakthrough. It's still amazing to see something like this happen in medicine and science. But that being said, we're still at the foreground of it. I think that's the word I want to use. And not to mention, I can't stress this fucking enough. I feel like motherfuckers fucking forget. But we live in a capitalist society. And motherfuckers got to extract their pound of flesh out of your goddamn wallet first and foremost before you get the thing that you need. This is a bit of a tangent before we move on to the next beat, but goddamn Magic Johnson. Do you think about that sometimes? Obviously South Park made fun of that shit. It was hilarious. Haha, y'all cooked. Cool. But it's crazy that this man has a disease that's like, oh man, like this is just gonna kill everybody. Like this is just once you have it, it's kind of over. You're gonna like live only so long. But this was like one of the first guys who was just like, yeah, I'm living day to day, got it. But he's still here. He's still fine. I remember seeing this motherfucker on ESPN, and it's because he has the money to bankroll that kind of shit. And good for him. I'm happy to see Magic Johnson, exist. Awesome. But man, don't you wish like your mom, your dad, who has this, potential thing, has this potential issue, could live and exist? But the biggest hurdle, the biggest issue is fucking money. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of spiraling out there. Whatever. I'm sorry. Whatever. We actually got to get back to politics. We actually got to go back to Congress from the Los Angeles Times. Kevin McCarthy will retire from Congress at the end of the year. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy will not seek another term in Congress, ending a tumultuous 2-decade career in public office that was marked by a swift ascent and descent in Washington GOP leadership. He said he would leave the House by the end of the year. McCarthy announced his decision days before the state deadline to file to run again for his Bakersfield-based seat, and just 9 weeks after bitter infighting among House Republicans led to his historic October 3rd ouster from the leadership post. His departure opens the door for what could become a contested House race in California's heavily Republican Central Valley. I'll spare you the rest of it. They have a whole fucking thing on him in the article. We've talked about this young gun turned old gun, turned to no gun, I guess now. He had a crazy run. He made it to the gavel, and he just couldn't keep it. But that's what you get. He was a wildly swinging moderate, conservative, for whatever the fuck that's worth. And I think he, what the article says, he made an ascent. He was able to get there. But yeah, I think it's just the changing of the time, changing of the guard, and the deal he made to say, oh, you can just take me out whenever the fuck you want. that's a poison pill, dog. Like, I mean, it was a poison chalice, and he was like, I want it that bad, and he got it. So he got his wish. I don't feel bad for him in any kind of way. I don't think Kevin McCarthy's like a cool, good guy or anything like that. If anything, he's just more funny than anything like that. I think the idea of like him wanting this so bad, and then like while he had it, he was like posing and doing stuff with like tourists and stuff like that. I was like, man, he really just loved being the House Speaker. He really just loved playing the game and doing the shit. I don't know. So in that regard, cool, good on you, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, man, I'm not rooting for you. Tomato Town for you. Best of luck out there. But he also, at first I kind of thought like, oh, he's just being mopey and he's just done. But really, it makes sense. He just doesn't have the numbers. Like, they are waiting to eat his ass like come next election. So he's like, yeah, no, I'm at the end of the line here. Clearly, I'm not speaker material. So I've came here, I've done it, and the new young guns are here to replace me. It seems. So yeah, I wanted to get that in. I wanted to do coverage on that. Adios, arrivederci, motherfucker. All right, we have one more thing to cover, and then I'll let you go for the day. You know what that means? I'm gonna take my break. Whew. Okay. I lied. Down with the sickness. From Cyber News. Henry Sheen ransom saga now in third month. Hackers show no mercy. Now, as a podcast, we're just jumping into this one, I think, for the first time. I don't believe I've covered Harry Sheen. But maybe we have, and it was just like healthcare provider thing, because I know we've covered Alf V Black Cat Ransom Gang. We've talked about them before on the podcast. I mean, but they've just been so fucking active. You know, we said this before, but apparently in this article they say they've done about like 200 cybercrimes, reported cybercrimes just this year. So they've been very, very, very fucking busy. But Henry Sheen, a global leader in healthcare technology and product distribution, is still struggling to restore business operations since it announced the ransomware attack on its company website on October 15th. As negotiations continue to move further south, the Russian-linked ransomware operations have called out the healthcare solutions giant once again for a lack of professionalism. Just ever the coy fish about this. The 3-month-long cat and mouse game has played out like a ransomware soap opera, with Henry Sheen clearly on the losing end of the game. Alf V Black Hat posted a lengthy message on its Dark Leak site Tuesday, the third of its kind since the initial attack, titled Henry's Lost Shine, which is very clever, very cheeky. The 530-word post slammed the company for detrimental strategy, management issues, lack of communication, and questionable decision-making, just to name a few. We're proud to present the next level of attack, the gang wrote, along with 3 distinct sections named What Happened There, Is Your Data Safe with Henry, and What's Next. Let's see here. They go on, yada, yada, yada. Accompanying the post, a 14-piece sample of the alleged 35 terabyte sensitive information Alf V Black Cat claims to have exfiltrated from Henry Sheen's servers. We have prepared some screenshots of a portion of their data that we believe is necessary to make public at this time. The gang had originally threatened to start publishing some of its stolen data on November 3rd after it had encrypted Henry Sheen's network the second time, again for failed negotiations. Let's see. The reported Henry Sheen samples cache contained an array of confidential employees' emails, dozens of passport JPEG files, several snippets of database files, chock full of names, addresses, and contact info of some seemingly Henry Sheen customers, as well as folders containing suppliers' checkings, bank accounts. So yeah, I mean, essentially it's showing, hey, we are not joking. We are not bluffing with you guys. We did expose your shit. We have your shit. You need to come to the table to work with us, or we're going to keep embarrassing you. Where Sheen has just more or less said, hey, just change your passwords, maybe, guys. Maybe make sure you do those two-factor authentication thing. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like they're maybe wanting to come to the table. Like I said, Alfie has been very prolific. Prolific? That's not a word. Prolific. I think since 2021. Yes. Very, very active. I know we did cover the MGM situation, as well as Caesars International. 15 million in ransom to keep their operations going. But yeah, I mean, cybercrimes are just going to stay a thing. I mean, technology on the rise. And that also makes sense, too, because, you know, with the machine learning, the AI shit, that just becomes a fucking easy, awesome companion to just help you in your cybercrime and makes your job easier because it essentially is a whole workforce that you can just, like, program and operate and, you know, help your operation for evil. So yeah. That's the news. I mean, you can also, you know, do hacking for good, white hat hacking. But that's a whole other podcast. I don't know. That's Dark Knight Diaries things. Anyway, that's the episode. That's all I have. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Let's see here. I shout you out at the top of the podcast, top of the month, or bottom of the pod, depending. Say your name, plug a project if you like. Then free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Follow me or the podcast. Say what's up on the socials. Hopefully you're subscribed to the YouTube. Helps out a lot. And thumbs up are always appreciated. Cool comments are always appreciated. We love the reviews. And yeah, that's it. That's all we have. Hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.